What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Your boy Dread is back with an episode of Nerd Talk, here to give you guys you guessed it, my Captain America Civil War movie review. And yes, you see, I had to represent. Going into this movie, I was Team Stark, even though I kind of did see where Team Cap was coming from as far as their ideals. I gotta say, I kind of walked out Team Stark as well, but I'll get into that later. Now, it is currently 3:30 a.m. that I'm making this movie review because I went to go see the midnight premiere of this movie. So here's what I'm gonna do. As far as this review, I'm going to give you 5 minutes of my review for the movie, as far as what I overall thought about the plot, the characters, and the comedy, and then I'm gonna do another 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes of spoilers. So yeah, you've been warned ahead of time. But anyway, everyone's main concern going into this movie was, and you can pretty much argue this for every comic book movie too, is the deviation from the source material. They're like, is it going to follow the comic books word from word? And as I said in my review of Batman v Superman, it's not supposed to, seeing as how it is the cinematic universe. So it's supposed to borrow from the source material and not follow from word. So it's supposed to give fans a little taste, but it's supposed to give a theatrical take on it. But yes. Also, people are like, well, Civil War was a 7-issue comic. How are they gonna fit a 7-issue comic into a movie that's 2.5 hours long? And I gotta say that they did it damn near perfectly. Even without words, my review of this movie, awesome, standing ovation, awesome, awesome, awesome. That is how you do a comic book movie. That is how you do a live action adaptation of a comic book movie. And that is how you blend together a storyline, a compelling storyline. That's how you blend together perfectly choreographed action and special effects, and also how you throw comedy into it. And that's exactly how you do it, like another movie studio that I won't name, DC Warner Brothers. But yeah. Anyway, the story starts out, they don't even mess around with the action. You see the opening title card, Captain America, then big bold level Civil War, and yeah, they start off in an African country. So the new Avengers, like you see at the end of Avengers: Age of Ultron, they're on a mission to find one of the main villains of this, Crossbones, and the action is awesome because you see, and the big thing about this is everyone in the movie gets their fair amount of screen time. Everybody gets their fair amount of action. Everybody gets their fair amount of dialogue and their fair amount of comedy. So nobody in this movie is really left out, and nobody gets one more shine over the other one. Now, as far as the plot of the story, you know how the comics had the Stanford incident. They had the West Africa incident where there was collateral damage that ended up getting 11 people killed, and the new Avengers have to take responsibility for that. And of course, you guys, as you guys seen in the promotional trailer, you saw General Thunderbolt Ross pretty much just screening all the catastrophe that the Avengers have caused over the past 5 or 6 years. And in the movie, they even say this: they say, "Avengers, we are eternally indebted to you for all the service you've given us and the job you've done for protecting us. So thank you." But you've also caused a lot of collateral damage, and you've also made the death toll peak. But, I feel like Captain America could have used this as an argument. They're like, well, maybe we should just do nothing, because think about how much worse the death toll would have been if we'd just sat on our asses and did nothing. But, yeah, that's one of the arguments he could have used. And then, of course, Tony comes in, who's a partially retired superhero. He kind of feels some guilt from what happened in Age of Ultron, as he should, because the Age of Ultron... There would have been Age of Ultron without him. Age of Ultron was pretty much his fault. And you see someone in the movie come up to him, and he was doing a little bit of an expo at MIT, and one of the victims of Sokovia, one of the victims' mothers of Sokovia, she pretty much cursed his name and says, "My son's death was all your fault." So that, on top of what happened in Avengers and in Age of Ultron, is getting to him. So Tony is all for this whole Sokovia Corridor Superhero Registration Act, and this is how it differs in the comic. This is how it differs from the comics and the live action. I kind of like the live action take of it better than the comics, because in the comics they had to reveal a secret identity. In this movie, they have to register with the government. They have to register and say, well, you can only fight crime when and where we tell you to. And Iron Man doesn't like that idea, because even in the movie he says, well, what if there's somewhere that we don't want to go, or that's not a good idea to go? Or what if there's somewhere that we need to go, but they don't let us? And Tony's argument is, well, If we don't do it now, they're gonna make us do it later, and that's where they come to odds. And that's another thing that's really that I think people are going to really appreciate this movie. Like, of course, there's lots of CGI action fights and explosions, but one thing that you really will appreciate is the whole political side of it. You got, the whole political dialogue behind this movie, and like there is real politics in this movie. Like, you would never think you would see politics in a superhero movie, and they did it perfect. So, yeah, and also the introduction of they did that very well. The introduction of Black Panther, and that actually happens. That one of the incidents in his country of Wakanda actually happens that ends up getting his father T'Chaka, murdered. Sorry for the early spoiler, guys. But yeah, what the hell, you guys seen in the title. But yeah, and with that happens, he vows to exterminate the Winter Soldier. Even in he's one of the only non-comical characters in the movie, because when his father gets killed, he said, Black Widow says, we will bring your father's killer to justice. We'll bring him in. And then he says, you better hope you find him before I do, because if I do, I'm gonna kill him. He's all business in this movie, and and even the dialogue with other Avengers, he's still all business. But oh yes, and, now a couple of things that I didn't like about the movie. You notice how I said all the superheroes got their fair amount of screen time. The only ones that didn't were Bucky is kind of a anti-hero / villain in the movie, but Baron Zemo, I gotta say he got a total of 30 minutes of screen time. And Crossbones, I really did expect more out of Crossbones. I expected more scenes from him. Hell, I even expected him to be in another Avengers movie. But overall, I mean, he got probably about maybe 10, 15 minutes tops of screen time. But, oh well, I'm not really complaining because, like I said, this is a continuation of the movie. So, you kind of have to expect that. But yeah, the only thing I didn't really like was, I get it as far as Baron Zemo's motivation as to why he was doing what he's doing. And his motivation switches because he goes from complete villain to I was doing the right thing, but for the wrong reason. And that's pretty much how that whole conflict comes back in this movie. That seems like it's the theme in this. That's like the theme of this movie. This side is right, but for the wrong reason. This side is wrong, but for the right reason. It seems like it always comes back to that with the characters interacting with each other. Now, the action. Do I even need to say it? I mean, come on, you got just from and like even what you see in the trailers is just a taste of what you get. Now, Spider-Man's appearance. I mean, like, not much of a spoiler because you guys see him in the trailer too. Spider-Man probably gets a total of 20 minutes of screen time, and I enjoyed every second of it. And this is like every new character introduced except for Black Panther. You get Ant-Man and Spider-Man. They're pretty much just fanboying out. They're like, "Hey, whoa, it's Captain America. I'm a big fan of yours." Wow, it's like, yeah. That's one thing that I did like about it. They showed that even though they showed that these guys are heroes and they have special talents and they have unique gifts and they're enhanced people, that at the end of the day, they're still human. They walk around like us. They have flaws like regular people, and like that's one thing that a lot of superheroes do need to touch on is that even though that they're in a costume and in a suit and they fight crime, they're still human. That's one thing that this movie touched on that a lot of other superhero movies don't. But now for the comedic aspect. Most of the comedy is kind of coming from Tony Stark. I mean, there's more serious tones, but hell, even Bucky, the Winter Soldier, he got us a couple of quips, and even let's see, the kind of interaction between Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because Falcon is like, I can't believe I'm doing this, and then Bucky's like, yeah, I can't believe you're doing this either. Like, yeah, didn't I just try to kill you in the last movie? Yeah, and they kind of reference that. I like how they kind of reference like going back and forth. And Hawkeye's probably got him. Hawkeye, he doesn't appear until about 45 minutes to an hour in the movie. And Hawkeye, his character is just so self-aware. It's like, I'm a guy wielding a bow and arrow full of super-powered mutants or enhanced people. And speaking of enhanced people, they really did flush out Scarlet Witch a hell of a lot more, and that's really something that I did like in the movie. Some people would say that she's broken or overpowered, but hell, what she didn't even really touch on her powers the way they do in the comics, because she can pretty much just warp reality. She can pretty much just kill somebody by ripping their heart out from their chest using her psychic powers. So, yeah, so hopefully they really do touch more of her powers in the next couple of Marvel movies, like, and that's really going to help them going into Infinity War. But yeah, like I said, well, my overall rating for this movie: action, perfect 10; story, 9.5; special effects and CGI. There's a couple little things that might, bother you, but like I said, I'm not here to nitpick, so I'll give it also give it a 9.9. Comedy, 9.5 in the movie. Let's see, there really wasn't too much I didn't like. Character development, I'll give that a 9. I mean, there's still a couple more things they could have done, but nothing really worth griping and complaining about. Because you guys know that I'll give you the bare bones. I'm an it is what it is kind of person. I'm not going to nitpick it to death. But overall, I would give this movie a 9.5 out of 10. You can't really ask for much better. Even though, I kind of don't know where to rank this movie, because, it is billed as a standalone Captain America movie, even though I still think Winter Soldier is the best standalone Captain America movie. But I gotta say that this is probably the best crossover movie. But for people who gave Age of Ultron slightly above average reviews, this movie does more than make up for it. Now, as far as the overall spoilers, no one major dies in this movie. There's a couple of casualties, like when you see War Machine get shot in the sky. Now he's a cripple. Baron Zemo's overall plot, he was behind the Superhero Registration Act, and he says, well, even though I knew I couldn't take out the Avengers, I had to make them fight each other. And that's pretty much his whole motivation behind the plot. It's like, okay, I get it, but you could have done a little bit more than that, and they didn't mean to put that corny mask on him. But hey, that's something that I would like. I would like to see a modern adaptation of that. And I'm betting my bottom dollar he's gonna be back, since he didn't die. But yes, the post-credit scene showing off Spider-Man. Because even if someone did die in this movie, you got to remember, the next two Marvel movies are Doctor Strange and Spider-Man Homecoming. So it kind of didn't even really matter if there was any casualties or deaths in the movie, because I guarantee that there's probably going to be an Infinity Stone of some sort to bring back, that would have brought back one of the heroes that passed away. And this really just set up, and the mid-credit scene set up Black Panther. It really did a good job setting up the Black Panther movie. And Bucky, the Winter Soldier, and I also like how they kind of didn't stray away from the source material, as far as Bucky being the person who assassinated Tony's parents. They didn't really stray away from that. They stayed true to the source material in that regard. And but overall, like I said, this was a pretty damn good movie. I'll probably be going back again. I saw it in standard format. I'll probably be going back again either this week or the next week to go see it in 3D. And I'll probably do a podcast review with a couple of friends, so just be on the lookout for that. But anyway, my overall rating for this movie was a 9.5 out of 10. If you guys seen it, let me know what you think, and I'll be back with another video soon. This has been another episode of Nerd Talk with your boy, TheDreadMan. Peace.